How are you?
Lovely. Nice to meet you.
Great. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I'm really nervous.
No, don't be nervous at all. It's just me.
So first, how challenging and fun was to direct The Little Mermaid?
I mean, it was the most challenging film I've actually ever done. Um, because I felt, in a way, I was almost doing three movies at once. I was making this underwater movie, this sort of epic movie underwater. Then I felt like I'm making this massive sort of on land film with castles and beaches and and shipwrecks and all that kind of thing. That was so that felt like, and then on top of that, I felt I'm doing a musical. So it was literally like, okay, let's just jump into this thing. I mean, it was challenging but exciting. I went back to the Hans Christian Andersen tale, and I loved what I saw and loved what I felt. It seemed so timeless to me and timely because it really is about prejudice and not being afraid of the other. This not being afraid of a world that's different than yours, not being afraid of someone that's on the other side of a border or a wall, and breaking those walls and barriers down and building a bridge to this other world and having these worlds come together. I found it very emotional and profound.
Yes. And how was the experience to direct a film with so much visual effects?
That was the daunting part of it, honestly, Matteo. That was the because this took 4.5 years because of those visual effects. I knew that ultimately we were going to have to add everything underwater because you literally can't speak or sing when you're actually underwater. So how do you do the how do you play scenes, how are the actors going to move? So it took so much prep time. Literally the entire film was choreographed in advance so that we would know how to work with the different rigs and the different cameras to make it all work, to make it look seamless. My goal was always to never let us see those seams, never see how the mechanics of how we did it. I wanted it to look like, wow, they're just underwater. It looks completely real. But it was really daunting because it was all done in small pieces. I would say action. We'd do a couple lines on one particular rig, and then I would have to cut, and we would put the actors on something else, wires or something else, or some kind of crazy crane arm for another line, and then cut. It was like all done in small pieces.
Great. And talking about the musical scenes, how was that for you, Rob? Because you love musicals, and
I do.
how was to work with the musicals of the
Well,
musical of
you're absolutely right. I feel the most comfortable there because it's what I come from, and the difficult thing with musicals for me is that you have to always be. It's very delicate because we all know when someone starts to sing in a movie, if it doesn't feel natural or organic, it's embarrassing. Why are they singing? This is horrible. But I feel like with this film, it was very important for me. Each time there was a song, that it was earned, that it felt like that speaking isn't enough, so they have to sing. If it that's something you have to carve out. You have to make sure that it's all seamless from the scene into the song, and that's why our first song isn't until 15 minutes into the film. Because before that it didn't it felt like applied. It didn't feel like it came from story. And the first song is very much like Somewhere Over the Rainbow in The Wizard of Oz. I have to be honest. It's an I want song. It's what do I want, and we understand that she wants to be part of that world. And so now that's the motor of the piece. But that was what I felt throughout. It's always like finding making those songs feel organic.
Great. And how was the voice work? Because it's so great. The Sebastian, Flounder, and Scuttle. How was that, Rob?
Oh, I just love those actors so much. We had them in rehearsal. We didn't just bring them in to just do the voices or some lines. We had them in rehearsal actually there so we could actually work with the actors. So that, I mean, listen, Javier Bardem, who plays King Triton, has a major sort of a relationship with Sebastian, you know?
Yeah.
So I had to find that relationship in rehearsal with the actors. So they're talking to each other and playing with each other, and then ultimately then you put the voice, then they record the voice, but we've already built up our relationship, we've already built up a scene, and it's has all those colors and nuances already. In fact, when I actually recorded the voices. I had the other actors there so they could play the scene with them too. So it, I can always tell when someone just flown in for a couple lines. It just feels so out of character. It feels so not part of it, you know. And so it was very important that it was all integrated. And listen, these guys, David Diggs as Sebastian, Aquafina as Scuttle, and Jacob Tremblay as Flounder are such wonderful actors, so creative, so funny, just really, honestly, geniuses at what they do. And it was a pleasure to create those characters, that's for sure.
Great. And you already seen the people's first reaction to the film, right? How is what's the impact and importance of having a Black Little Mermaid, Rob?
Well, you know, it's interesting. There was no agenda in that area at all. So when I all I did was look for the best Ariel in the world. That was it. We saw every ethnicity, so many different kinds of actors, but Hallie came in and sort of checked all the boxes of what this Ariel needed to be. We needed to find someone with an angelic voice, which she obviously has. She
Yeah.
needed to be ethereal and somewhat otherworldly. She also needed to have a great deal of strength and passion, but also have joy and vulnerability and sort of a naivete. I mean, it was all these things, and we just, you know, my goal is as a director is never having. I don't even have to choose ultimately. It's chosen for me, and that's what happened here. Hallie claimed the role and said, "This is mine," and she set the bar so high, and no one ever surpassed it. So the fact that, I mean, to me, it seems incredibly archaic that we're even discussing anything about someone's color. Like, who cares? But I feel like,
Yes.
you know, with her, she was Ariel. That's all I cared about.
Perfect. Thank you, Rob.
Thank
It's
you.
a
Lovely to
pleasure.
speak to you, Mateo. Take care now.
Thank you
Bye.
so
Bye
much,
bye.
Mateus.